Hey guys, today I will be teaching you how to fill out the athletic injury assessment form. And first of all, I'm going to be kind of showing you like this because I don't really have a stable camera. So first off, you want to start off by putting in the athlete's information, like what their name is, what grade they're in, what's their student ID, what school they go to, sport they play, location, date of injury, and that's just like at the top of the page, like that. And then towards like the middle it says, is injury covered by school insurance? And you have to check off yes or no. And then moving on to subjective findings, that's like the second thing on the checklist to check off. And the first thing that you write in is like the description of how the injury happened, like how exactly was the athlete injured. And then you kind of just check off like what body part was injured, whether it was left or right, and if it was the wrist, hand, upper back, ankle, foot, face, and stuff like that. And then you have to classify the type of injury, whether it was acute, chronic, or re-injury, or other type of injury. And then you also have to figure out like kind of what kind of injury it is, whether it's a concussion, contusion, dislocation, fracture, strain, or wound. And then check off if it is a contact, if it's a physical contact sport or not, and then when it happened, whether it was at practice or at a game, and if it was a game, like versus what school it was. So this is the subjective findings, and this is just an example. And okay, so moving on to the third part of the checklist. It's objective findings, and this is just kind of to see how much laxity the player has, and to see how well they can manage to move their arms and test out their range of motion. And so here we see passive range of motion. So this person, or this example, it would be with no laxity. And then for their active range of motion, there's pain present with active range of motion. And then their strength was present with the strength test, so that means they were still strong enough. And the joint laxity, you need to check off whether it was like a joint laxity, if it was like noticeable, or if there was an edema. And then in other findings, you can just kind of put other descriptions, like if they didn't like pass certain tests that they were supposed to pass for that specific injury. And then towards the bottom, there's an assessment of injury, so you just put like what you determined was the injury, and it's not a diagnosis. And then at the very end of the page, there's a plan and action taken, and this is where you fill out like what you would need to do. And for example, if this was an injury where the player would need to go to the hospital or something, you would need to fill out like who contacted EMS and what hospital they went to, and if they would recommend to do RICE. And yeah, but for this example, that wasn't necessary. And then at the very end, you just sign like who you are and what position you hold and what date you submitted the sheet. So that is pretty much it for the athletic injury assessment form, and I apologize for the camera angles, but yeah, have a nice day.